Max 4. Today we're on the fifth video of the Python series for introduction in Python. For today we're gonna go over if statements or decision making. So the way, let me just create a markdown. I'll just do if statements. Oh, the markdown was down here. Let me just Control C, Control B, and then let's move this one down here. Let's delete this part. So the way decision making works in Python, we have to follow a specific syntax. So it'll be if, then we have to provide the condition, in which this condition will be either true or false, and then we will have an indentation, and then here we will put our code statement. Don't forget that we have to include the colon. So every single time we're working with if statements, we'll have to provide the column, the condition, and this indentation. Otherwise, if you're trying to run this, Python will complain because of either indentation or some syntax error. So let me comment this out. Let's do the first example. So the first example will be voting. Pretty much the code, what will it do is to check if your age is under 18 or above 18. If it's above 18, then it will be printing out that you can vote. So for that, let's use age as the variable, and then we're using the input. Then enter your age. Remember that if we're using input command in Python, we have to make sure we change this data type into numeric because we're going to be treating age as a numeric data type. So let's just do integer. And now I will do my if statement. So I'll do if age is greater or equal than 18. So that's my condition. If this is true, then I will be printing out you can vote. If this is false, then nothing will be printing out. So let's just run this. It's asking me to enter my age. I'll do 29. Enter. There you go. You can vote. Let's try something under the condition. So let's do 17. Enter. And as you can see, there's nothing that is being printing out. We will see in the future how can we add different commands in order to do different code statements if my condition is false. So for the second example, we're going to be calculating the radius of a circle. So for this, I will be importing the math module from math import sqrt and then pi. I will be defining the area, input, enter the area. Then let's convert this into a numeric data type. Load. Then the only thing that we have to make sure in this case is to check if the area is greater than 0, because if we are solving for the radius, then the equation will be r equal a square root of area over pi. So if area is 0, then this would be giving me an error. So not an error, but the radius will be 0. So let's define the condition. So if area is greater than 0, I'm calculating the radius. I will be using the square root function that I am import from the math module, and then I'm dividing area over pi. This is sqrt. There we go. And then here we're printing out using the formatting string. The radius is probably brackets. We're going to print out the radius. Let's do 2 decimal places. And then let's add this line of code, which will be running after the if statement is done. So this will let me know that my code is done running. So we have to provide the area. Let's put 10. And then here we have the radius is 1.78. And after the if statement is done running, we're printing this out. Here, don't forget that I'm adding the indentation. So indentation is very important. And let's move on to the next part. Let me add a couple of lines here. So now we saw what happened if my condition is true, then I'm running a specific code statement. But what if the condition is false? How can I run, or which command can I use in order to run something like that? So the syntax for that will be if, then the condition, don't forget the column. Here you will do the code statement that you want to run for that part if the condition is true. And then we use the else command. And then this else will run if my first condition is false. So this is what we will do for now. Let me comment this out. We're going to be using the same code that we used for the age. So let me just copy paste. And then we're just going to be adding the else command. So print, sorry, not yet. And then sad face. So now if I put, let's say 17, we cannot vote. So this is the approach we use if we want to run something when my condition is set to false. We can do the same thing for the radius example. So let me just Control C, Control V this one as well. Then let me add the else command. Else, and then print error, the area, enter is negative value. Let's put -4. And as we can see, that's what it's being printed out from my code. Let's do one more. For example, let's say we are trying to compare when you're trying to log in on any account, you will be asked for your password. So let's say the program already has your password stored in a variable, and if you put the password and if it's not matching up, then it will print out incorrect password. So let's define that password. Let's just do max underscore 4. That will be my password. And then let's define this as the variable that we're going to be using to enter the password. Enter the password. In this case, I'm not converting this variable into a numeric data type because this is the one that we're trying to compare, and this is a string data type. So let's do if statement. If this variable is equal to my store variable, then we'll be printing out correct password. If this is false, then let's print out incorrect password. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so now let's try this out. So we're asked to provide the password. Remember that Python is case sensitive, so we have to match exactly all the capital case or the lowercase and any special characters. So let's do the same thing that we have defined for our password. So max_4 with capital M, let's hit enter, and there we go, correct password. Let's try one more time. Let's do lowercase m max_4, incorrect password. So that's gonna be it for today. We're gonna be continuing with more if statement, but using a case scenario in which we have multiple conditions to evaluate. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like, make sure you hit the comment box for any suggestions or just hit the like button.